Hello everybody, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about the Hydro Archon lore. We're going to try to break down what some of the lore details are about this Archon because, you know, Fontaine's coming out soon. Did I actually just say soon? Fontaine's coming out as the next region after Sumeru, so I figured we'd talk about it. What I want to do is see if there's a relationship between lore and Genshin Impact and maybe some Honkai characters because very reminiscent with each other. Hey everybody, real quick, have you ever played card games or tabletop games? Well, if you're interested, you have to check out React, the Arts of War, which is the sponsor of this video. Now, it's completely original. The artwork is phenomenal, and it's a competitive dueling game with comboing effects. Now, what's amazing is that the base package comes with 8 different characters and all their individual decks. So you can literally play right out of the box with anyone. Now, if you want more stuff, the deluxe edition is currently on sale and has 28 standees inside of it. And there's even a collector's edition that comes with an additional character, the art book, and autographed print made by the creator. Now, a lot of these deals ends December 28th, so make sure to check it out in the description of this video. And again, shout out to Brother Main Games for sponsoring this video. React, the Art of War, check it out in the description, okay? Alright, bye-bye. Back to the video. Bye. Besides Venti and Zhongli, we already know that the other Archons are not the original. But what's interesting, in Inazuma, technically, Raiden A is a being that existed ever since the Archon War because Makoto was there. In Sumeru, it's very similar, but a little bit different. There is Rukkhadevata. Don't say who. Alright, okay. Alright. Rukkhadevata in Sumeru is kind of technically Kusanali because we know the story. But the point is, they all seem to be related somehow. A to Makoto and Kusanali to Rukkhadevata. And they all look similar, weirdly. Again, the reason why I bring this up is, in my opinion, the Hydro Archon could be similar with just a different story. It's not a clone, it's not a sister, it's like an alter ego, literally. Didn't she assassinate the previous Archon? What does it mean for assassination? Did they actually like go out and like murder them? Or did they just suppress their other personality? Might get a little old that the 3 new Archons in a row are just different versions of the OG Archon or twins. I know what you mean, but I have a perspective on this. Raiden, Kusanali, Focalors, Makoto, Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, and then we got previous Archon question mark redacted. There, are you happy? You might be saying if A is the version of Makoto, Kusanali is the version of Redacted, and Focalors is the version of a previous Archon. That's kind of an old story, man. It's like too old. It's too repetitive, too boring. I know that's what a lot of people would be saying, and it's true. That would be boring. But the difference is, at least for Raiden, Shogun, and Kusanali, even though the outcome was very similar to a certain extent, they had a different story. What is the message that Genshin Impact often tells us in the game? It's not about the destination, but the journey. Come on, you can't disagree that this is like a main talking point of the entire game. So if Makoto and Redacted are same outcome, but they have a different story, it is still very possible that Focalors and the previous Hydro Archon could have the similar outcome, but a different story, which is, personally, in my opinion, it's not too bad as long as the story itself is very intriguing. Venti is obviously taken from Wendy from Honkai Impact 3rd. Elements the same, looks very similar color scheme. And then Zhongli is a very big question mark because who the hell does Zhongli represent? But if we go on the idea that each Archons in the game of Genshin Impact are characters that have powers that are related to the Honkai, it kind of makes me feel like the Zhongli is very indicative of wealth more so than anything. Kusanali was based on Teresa. Raiden A obviously is direct reflection of Raiden Mei. One way or another, the Archons are related to characters from Honkai Impact 3rd, whether it's their aesthetics or their story. So this is my suggestion. Who is the character that might represent Focalors if this Archon does have multiple personalities? Number 1 is obviously Sere. Number 2, Vilvi, Tyrandar. But I don't feel like it's likely a case because I don't see Tyrandar in like this Hydro. Maybe? I don't know. You guys let me know. And then there's obviously an entity known as the Harsher of Ocean. I still a lot of people talk about the Harsher of Ocean, aka, what's her name? Jana? I personally think of the 4 entities, the least likely is Tyrandar. Maybe it's completely someone else in the Honkai universe that we haven't even brought up yet. But out of these 4, the most unlikely is Tyrandar. Tyrandar is Dane's slave? Holy, you're right! Does that mean actually Tyrandar is Dane's slave? And Lumi was Rita this entire time. Oh my goodness. Here's the thing about Vilvi. Her aesthetics does remind you of the steampunk thing. Does France have like a steampunk vibe in like the past because of the Industrial Revolution? So what about this idea then? What if Focalors is actually not only this, not only this, not only this, but what if it was just all of them and they merged everything together? Would that be a crazy idea? Like, would that even be possible? Because the personality aspect of Sede with Veliona, the personality of Vilvi, and personality of Hersher of Ocean, duality, they all kind of mirror the possible hypothesis that there's something going on with Focalors' personality. We cannot ignore the idea that Hersher of Ocean is water. There's a duality between Sede and Veliona. Steampunk aesthetics that might relate to Fontaine. Honestly, I started this whole Theory Thursdays trying to figure out if I can pick one or the other to represent Focalors, but it seems to me like it's very difficult to pick out one thing because there's so many other characters, especially like these three characters that relate similarly to Focalors, possibly in Genshin. So maybe it's just all three. I don't know. You guys let me know. Is there a character that I completely missed that might relate to the idea that a character from Honkai, a different character completely, is related to Focalors? If you can't choose one, choose them all. That's right. Things just feel oppressive and dangerous. You know, like a storm is about to break out. This is very reminiscent to Inazuma. The locals are pretty empty. Said judgment was soon to come or something like that. There's something very serious in Fontaine. This is what I think. At least this is my perspective right now. Even though they're different, the whole entire concept is like a idea of freedom still applies. For example, obviously Mondstadt is freedom, right? Freeing the dragon. Liyue is contracts, but it's also freeing the people from the governance of gods. Inazuma is eternity, but it's also a freedom from like trying to rebel against what was enforced onto them. Sumeru is wisdom, but it was just like the idea of freeing one's mind through the consciousness and dreams, where you can dream with aspirations and ambition. This concept, if it were to apply to Fontaine, my opinion is it would be something like this. Let's say again, hypothetically, dual ego. Let's say hypothetically, there is a very crucial thing in Fontaine that is not apparent in these things, but still represent the idea of freedom. Judicial system. What that means, government, laws, politics. If, let's say, Hydro Archon has dual ego, there might be something going on within the region of Fontaine where the people are against the judicial system in its entirety. It's like real life. It almost hits home a little too much. So it could be similar that the concept of freedom is also being applied in Fontaine, again, just in a different way, but similar outcome. And as I mentioned before, it's not about the destination, it's the journey, right? It might just be the idea of freedom just expressed in another way under the government, law, politics, and judicial system. What if previous, good, current, bad, the current figuratively murders and they go dormant, and right now the one that resides is the current, which is very self-centered individual, and because of that self-centered individual, this problem arises. Here's my final conclusion. I believe that the Fontaine Archon Focalors, the previous Hydro Archon, was probably someone that was good, that set up like a correct judicial system, but for some reason current Hydro Archon murdered the previous. I think of it more as like a symbolic representation, more figuratively, and murdered her own personality, her past dual ego, which eventually became a different version of herself again, just like similar to the other Archons, but now it's currently bad. And because of that, she takes advantage of the judicial system and the government, and there is a crazy thing that's going on in Fontaine, and there's going to be like a storm. A storm is looming. I think Hersher of Ocean is more related to the personality of the current Fontaine Archon. The appearance is similar to Sede, but the region as a whole is relating more towards Vilvi and the idea of that steampunk vibe, as well as creating things like trinkets and all that stuff. Thank you for watching this video, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, consider subscribing, and join us every Theory Thursdays right here on YouTube, okay? Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. See you next time. Bye. Peace.